So what does it look like to get the work up front, get them to pay you, and then use that money to purchase your CNC machine to do that work? So you think CNC routers and lasers are cool, and you'd like to buy one. And then you go and look at the price and you're like, there's no way I can afford that. I recently did a poll and over 50% of you said money was the #1 thing keeping you from buying a CNC. Well, good news. Today I've got 7 ways that you can afford that CNC. Number 1 is sell something. Look around your house and your garage to see if you can find anything that you don't use anymore or that you don't need. This could be a tool, this could be another hobby, another toy. It could be so many different things. I know for me, there are tons of things around the house that I necessarily don't use. I have to ask myself, have I used that in the last 6 months? Have I used that in the last year, or is it just collecting dust? Snap a picture of that thing you don't use anymore, upload it to Facebook Marketplace, and start collecting some cash to purchase your next CNC. Number 2 is buy used. There's nothing wrong with buying a used CNC machine to get yourself started. I'm constantly browsing Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or any of the other apps, OfferUp. There's a lot of different places to find CNCs. Actually, I just sold my original Shapeoko that I bought back in 2017 or 18. Someone from Ohio bought that, drove 8 hours to come pick it up, and now they have a Shapeoko that they're putting to use, and we're able to save a few bucks, but they're making things. A couple tips when buying a used CNC is I would always buy a CNC that has been made by a reputable manufacturer. I wouldn't buy a no-name CNC because 1, you're not going to be able to find any parts for it, and 2, that company most likely doesn't offer support. So if you stay with the main brands, you're going to be able to find parts if you need them, and 2, most likely you're going to be able to reach out to tech support and get some help if you need it. Number 3 is going to be the least popular, but probably is the best option, and that is to save up for it. Now, I know this way is really old-fashioned, but I think it's the best way, and here's why. If you come up with a plan, you need X amount of dollars to save for the CNC that you want, and you say you're going to save X amount of money to meet that goal. When you come up with that plan and execute that plan, you're going to be much more invested in the process. So what does that do? 1, that is going to increase your success. You're going to, since you've been sacrificing and saving for this item, you're going to be more willing to learn, you're going to be more willing to fail, you're going to have the most freedom to do those things because you're not under a time crunch, you don't have to make a payment. You're probably going to make better projects and have more fun because it's paid for, you sacrificed for it, you saved for it, you purchased it, and you can ultimately enjoy it fully. Number 4, get the work first. Now, this is my personal favorite way to go about it. Take some creativity, so I first heard this advice from my dad. To get the work first and then figure out how to do it, figure out how to execute it. Now, this isn't true in every business case, but it works here. Because how much time do we spend getting set up, buying equipment, thinking we need all the tools without any work? We assume, which this has burnt me several times in my business, we assume that the work is automatically going to come. Kind of like, if you build it, they will come. Well, that's not always true. So what does it look like to get the work up front, get them to pay you, and then use that money to purchase your CNC machine to do that work? So the first thing to do is to identify some products that are in demand. Mock those products up, and then you can send those mock-ups files to a place like PCBWay, who can make a couple prototypes for you. Once you have those prototypes, you can list them online, you can walk into local places, you can create a crowdfunding, but having those prototypes is key because people can actually see and feel those items. It's not uncommon to take a 50% deposit on those items, and then the other 50% is due when you provide the product. I think this is a great place. So once your 50% of orders equals the price of a CNC machine, you purchase the CNC machine, fulfill the orders, and get paid the rest. Now with this, it's important to set the expectation, right? Tell them, hey, yeah, I can make these, but it's gonna be a month or 2, and just keep them updated. That way you could clearly communicate and it's a good business transaction. The sponsor of this video is PCBWay, and with the services that they offer, you could actually fulfill some of those orders with their services. Have PCBWay make maybe your first run, maybe your first 20, maybe your first 25 of that item, sell those items. Meanwhile, you're taking less of a profit because someone else is making it, but you literally have no skin in the game other than coming up with a couple product ideas, and all while you're trying to save for your CNC to purchase it and then do production on your own. PCBWay is your one-stop shop for all of your prototyping needs. Number 5 is deliver DoorDash or drive for Uber or Lyft or something like that. This is a true story. I had someone in the CNC Inner Circle, which is my private CNC group, link in the description. A member of the CNC Inner Circle got an extra job delivering DoorDash so they could afford their CNC, so they could purchase their first CNC. Now that is true commitment. So you can always make a little extra cash and save up to buy that first CNC. Number 6 is split the cost. Maybe you have several other friends that are interested in purchasing a CNC and you go in together. You decide on a model, you decide where it's gonna be. Maybe one of you has a shop space, and you could share that and use it together. And this is a great way. Maybe, 4 of you could go in on a CNC, all use it to make the products that you come up with, sell your products, to then buy your own CNC. So share the burden to get into it and then go your own way and build and make whatever you want on your own CNC. Number 7 is DIY. You can build your own CNC machine. Now, I don't recommend this way for everyone, including myself. It's not something I really enjoy, but there's a lot of people that actually watch this channel that comment about building their own CNC machine. So if you're mechanical or have electrical background and you have time, this is a great option for you. You can source all the parts individually and build your own CNC machine for far less than you can purchase it. All right, so I've got one more tip for you. Number 8, and there's only one circumstance where I would ever finance a CNC machine. I know, especially in the US culture, myself included, it's easy to use a credit card or finance something, and I just don't think it's the best idea to do it with a CNC machine. But here is the scenario where I would finance it. If I had a large stack of orders, like almost like work orders in my hand saying, hey, I need these things, and the only way I could accomplish it was by buying a bigger CNC or another CNC, I would finance it in that scenario. I'm talking actual orders. I'm not talking about, Grandma Susie said she'd pay me 20 bucks to engrave her cutting board, and then I buy it. I'm talking about actual orders where I needed the equipment and I didn't have the cash, or I didn't want to use my own cash, and I leveraged OPM, which is other people's money. That's how I would do it. But I would only do it if I had the guaranteed work. So you might be wondering, why wouldn't you finance it, Andy? If you can afford the monthly payments, why not just finance that? Well, in my mind, as soon as you finance it, there's a clock that starts ticking. Now you are required in X amount of time to make X amount of payment. Now, in the case where you want to make money with your CNC, it completely ties your hands. One, because you're forced to learn and learn quickly. That's not very fun. After all, most people get into CNC at this stage for a hobby. It may turn into something else, but it's a hobby. It's supposed to be fun. If it's not fun, you're not going to do it. Maybe that's why we see so many of them on Facebook Marketplace. They financed them, and then it wasn't fun, so they're selling it. That's just a thought that popped in my head that wasn't scripted. It just takes something that's supposed to be fun and creative and puts limitations on it, and it has the possibility to become not fun. And then when it's not fun, you're not going to do it. So if you're one of those people that say, well, if I can afford the monthly payment, I'll just finance it. And I would say, if you can afford the monthly payment, just put that much money away each month until you have enough to buy the CNC. Now, I know it's not instant gratification. I don't have it now. It's hard. But I promise you that the process is going to be a whole lot more enjoyable if you do it that way than if you just run out and finance it and find out it's more trouble than you want to deal with. You don't have time for it, but then you got this payment coming. That's just a nightmare. No one wants to do that. This is supposed to be fun. Now, I know these 7 things aren't going to cover every single circumstance out there. We all have different circumstances. But I believe with a little bit of resourcefulness, a little bit of creativity and problem solving, that you can have access to your first CNC machine. If you want to take the same path to CNC success as I did, all those links will be down in the description below, where you can check them out and do a little research on your own. And as always, you can send me an email if you have any questions. I'm happy to help. Buying your first CNC is a big decision. So I put together this video right here where it gives you an idea of what to expect and gives you a little more information on the whole process. So click right there and I'll see you in that video.